Hi, Emily. Hi, Aurelio. How are you doing today? Hello.
Good evening, teacher. Fine.
Hello, good
Good
evening.
evening. Hi. How are you doing, Emily?
Fine, thanks.
Good to hear from both of you. So, do you mind if we wait just a few more minutes to get started? Just to see if anyone else joins us? Just like 2 or 3 more minutes? Do you mind?
No,
Okay.
Nope. Awesome. Then let's wait just, let's say, about 3 more minutes, and then we'll begin today's proper class. So I think we can begin. Just to get started with today's class. So, as you might have heard, I don't know if they told you, your previous teacher wasn't available to keep going at this hour due to certain circumstances within her university. I've heard something about that. I don't know if you've been told.
yes.
Yes, awesome. So that's the reason why she couldn't continue with you, particularly just to its scheduling issues, right? So I'm going to be taking over this group. I'm going to be with you to the end of the level. So um, let's begin. Let's start by getting to know each other. I want to know what drives you to learn English. I want to know what makes you want to study this language, just so I can get a better picture of how I'm going to treat this class and what's the vocabulary we're going to use. Why do I say that? Because usually I like to put in a bit of vocabulary from stuff you want to do in the future. For example, I have another class in which the vast majority of people want to be flight attendants. So I start playing with a lot of vocabulary around, I don't know, traveling and, I don't know, being in an airline. So I want to know what you want to do with this language. I want to know why you are starting to study it. And then I'm going to give you my teaching profile just so you can give it a look and we can start proper. So, let's say, does anyone want to begin? Nope. So, I have a perfect solution for this, but in the meantime, let's say, Aurelion, hi. why are you here? Why do you want to study English? Do you have any goal in mind?
Mm, I have studied termly for 2 years. I returned English after 10 years. Uh, I studied English for or at work. Uh, so that's it.
Oh, so what do you work at?
DHL?
Oh, DHL. Awesome, awesome.
Yes.
Do you have any plans to use your English, I don't know, in traveling, in vacations, holidays, something like that?
Uh, for other, se me fue la palabra puesto, at work, in the company, it's
Oh,
necessary English.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, I assume for international messaging, I imagine.
Yes, yes.
Awesome, awesome. Then I'm writing it down right here just so I can give you a bit of vocabulary that you can use later on. Here, messaging. So, it's nice to meet you, Aurelio. Hi,
Thanks.
Marcos.
Nice to meet you.
So let's keep going. So I'm going to present my screen. I'm going to share my screen. Sorry. So let's see who goes next. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Anyone, anyone? Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Aurelio. So I'm gonna spin it. Let's see who else tells me a bit about you. So let's go with Gael, I'm thinking. Yes. So Gael, hi.
Hi,
How are you? Why do you want to study English?
I'm fine. How are you?
Fine, fine. Thank you for asking.
Mm, what is the reason? Because I want to know more language. I think.
Awesome, awesome. So, are you planning to study any other languages?
Well, I am studying. I don't know how to say in English. Portuguese.
Oh, awesome. Portuguese.
Yes,
Oh,
eu
that's
falo
great.
português.
Awesome. You already know a tiny bit of it. I tried to study it. I know bits and pieces, but I never really got to study completely the language. So that's an awesome mission, and I'm going to keep that in mind. Well, any usages you think you're going to use English for?
For I think. To have my studies more complete, I think, and to yeah, I think that.
So you want to study English for let's just speaking just for the sake of saying to do something like the TOEFL exam or in that vein to have a degree that qualifies your English in a professional manner.
Yeah, in a professional.
Awesome, awesome. So you're in luck because this level, I'm going to tell you right now, everyone, I'm going to tell you from this moment is going to be one of the toughest ones yet. This level is going not only to focus on what the words mean, but on, let's say, for example, something your, well, not your previous teacher, but teacher Asai, who was with you last week, already started going over with you. He told me you saw a bit of phrasal verbs, right?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So in this level, we're going to kick that up a notch. That's actually another idiom. We're going to start seeing idioms. We're going to start seeing some things that aren't the literal translation of things. We're going to see a bit more that some words and some particular phrases need a lot more context to be understood in a correct manner. So just putting that out there, I was going to talk about that a bit more at the end, but it came up. So just letting you know from now, this level is going to be probably a bit rougher around the edges than you might have thought from the previous levels. It's not a lot. It's not a lot more difficult. It isn't impossible or even incredibly complex, but it is going to be slightly more difficult. Just letting you know from the beginning so you can get accustomed to it. We're going to take it bit by bit, and actually I'm saving this for the end of when I present my style of teaching, but we're going to take it bit by bit, and you can ask me at any time on any subject, whether you understood, whether you didn't understand, anything you feel like you didn't fully get, you can ask me. I have no issues with that. So you can stop the class, you can actually turn on the mics. Please don't send me messages while we're on class because I usually don't see them until after a lot of time has passed. So I have no issues if you just turn on your mic and say, hey, I don't get this. I don't understand that. How is this supposed to go? What's the structure? Right? I don't have any issues. Just turn on your mics and ask. Ask away. So I don't know why I went on that tangent, but thank you, Gael. I'll keep that in mind. You're going for a professional certification in English. So thank you, Gael. And let's go with the final two, Aranza and Emily. So, I think it's Aranza. Yes. So, Aranza, why do you want to study English?
I learn English because I want to travel from of Canada and Las Vegas and New York. Yes, and and also I learn study English because I learn many language.
You're also interested in many languages then.
Yes.
Oh, like, which one? Which ones do you like or would you like to study?
For the moment, I study French. In the future, I want to study Italian, Italy,
Mm,
and
Italian, yes.
Italian and German. German.
Awesome, awesome.
Yes.
Parlez-vous français?
We.
Awesome, awesome. I know a bit of German also, but I can tell you from now that German it's probably going to be the toughest one you're going to have to study. German is it's a beautiful language. I love it to bits, but it has, for example, we have in English how many pronouns? Does anyone remember? Which ones are the pronouns? Anyone? Anyone?
Mm,
Los pronombres. ¿Alguien ahí recuerda cuáles son? In English? No? He, she, it, we, they, you, I? Nope. More or less?
okay.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm using this because in German, you're going to have no around, I think, 20 pronouns and a lot of articles, a lot of articles. So it's a beautiful language, and it really is going to take up a lot of your time. So you want to, but let's move back to English. So you want it mostly for traveling, right?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. I'll keep that in mind. Let me check it right here. Just for traveling, anything professional you want to do with it?
I'm sorry.
Do you want to do anything professional with your English?
Mm, no, really.
Awesome, awesome. Then I'll keep that in mind. I keep traveling in mind, just so you can use a bit of phrases and you can learn a bit more of idioms, local idioms. I specialize in American English, so it's really, really simple. Well, it's what you use in Vegas, and I love Canada, so it's going to be very, very useful there. So thank you for presenting yourself or answer. And let's go with the final one. Emily, hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thanks.
Awesome, awesome. So, what do you want to study English?
Um, well, I started studying English because of junior high school. So I've been studying English for 4 years. Um, and I think I want to continue studying English because of I want to do an exchange to Canada, and I would
Awesome,
like to travel too.
amazing. So, you're currently studying to do this
Yes.
exchange? Awesome. Do you mind if I ask what are you studying?
No, I'm in high school. So
Oh,
yeah,
so
but I would
general
like to
knowledge.
for university.
Awesome, awesome. Then I'll keep that in mind. I'll put a lot of general knowledge just so you can go very, very well on your resume and you can understand everything they throw at you.
Okay.
So thank you, Emily. And Suzanne, hi, I see you join us.
Hi, Mister. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Suzanne. So I'm asking you, I'm asking everyone, why do you want to study English? Just so I can use it in future classes to put some vocabulary that's going to be helpful later on in the future.
Okay. Well, I think I like studying English because I can travel to, I don't know, United States or another country. And I think I like the language because I like singing in English, and I think it's a pretty language.
That's amazing. I have the exact same feeling as you, Suzanne. So I'm going to put a lot of vocabulary for traveling because I see most of you want to use it for traveling. So I'm gonna put a lot of vocabulary. Let me just, yeah, it's already there. So I have this in my notes. I'm going to use it further on. So it's really nice to meet you, Suzanne. And it's really nice to meet every one of you. So now that you've told me why you want to study English, now I'm going to tell you who I am, my teaching profile, and how we're going to manage this class. So, in the previous week, the teachers I told you about, let's say, aula virtual.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. And do you also know about the Richmond platform? Well, I think you've been practicing Richmond, right? So far?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to use basically the same process as we did in earlier stages of your English education, just with one little caveat. That caveat being the grading. Grading is going to be, I don't know if your previous teacher, maybe not, let me check. No, it's probably isn't. So did your previous teacher use the grading based on speaking, writing, verbs, I mean, vocabulary, writing, and listening? Or were there just three? Do you guys know?
It is about how did she grade us?
Yes,
Yes.
because, oh, sorry.
Uh, we well, we sometimes we did presentations to like prove our speaking, and yeah, we were reading on this on the classes, and yeah, that and with the exams.
Awesome. Then it's not going to change a lot. Thank you for telling me. It's not going to be a whole change. It's not going to be a big change. It's just like an exercise or two extra. That's from Eurocentro, the management side. Del área gerencial, that's the new change that's going to be implemented in this level. So basically the same, just a couple of more exercises, unos cuantos ejercicios más. So I'm going to tell you about me. Give me just 1 second. Actually, give me just one second. Let me put it on this. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So a quick summary. I am your new teacher. My name is Alejandro Pastrana. I've been practicing English for the past 9 years professionally. This level is going to be focused on the TOEFL exam. You're not going to do them with me or with Eurocentro unless you ask, unless you want to. I think it's not necessary for many of you because you told me it was mostly about traveling. So you don't need to do TOEFL for travel, only if you want to do a professional certification of English. Either way, we're going to be focusing on the TOEFL exam this level. What's the TOEFL exam? It's one of the most recognizable exams for English, to prove that you know English. The only one that I think personally is a bit tougher is the Cambridge certification. So this exam is going to be radically different than any other exam you've had in this institution. This exam is deals mostly in very specific grammar connotations, very specific grammar structures, and something you need to be on the lookout for is questions about the context, because it can be a bit tricky. They can give you the correct structure with the wrong context. Those are the most difficult answers. Those are the most difficult questions on the exam. And we're going to be practicing all of them. Every single thing that you need to know for the TOEFL exam, we're going to practice in this level. It's going to be a bit rough. It's going to be a lot of information beforehand. So I'm just letting you know it's going to be a bit information heavy. So how do I work in my classes? I like to use a lot of presentations. I use a ton of presentations and I used to be able to give them to you. I just upload them on Classroom and that's it. You can check them out there on the class that they were presented on. Unfortunately, now we're using Aula Virtual. On Aula Virtual, I'm not able to upload any presentations, anything we work here on class. So what I'm going to do is you can let me know through message or through text, and I can send them to you personally, or I can send them to the group if you feel necessary. Either way, the videos about the classes are going to be up as always, something I do constantly. Let me go back here. Something I do constantly is upload the class right after we finish. So it can be actually not right after because right now it's 7. Our class is at 7. So my final class ends at 10 o'clock. So after 10, give or take 15 minutes, the video for the class is going to be uploaded on Aula Virtual on YouTube, and you can get the link and go check it out. With me, there's no issue unless there's a technical issue to be resolved. So when we talk about subjects, when we are in the presentations, you can stop me at any time. Mostly it's going to be you reading, then me explaining the subject. I'm going to use some vocabulary in Spanish in the presentations, just to make sure you completely get what I'm trying to say or what the subject is about. It's not going to be much because we're already on level B2. On level B2 means we need to start speaking a lot more. So I'm going to start asking you a lot of questions. I don't know if your previous teacher did it, but in this level, we're going to start speaking a bit more between classes and about the subject, because we're going to be seeing a lot of subjects and most of them are going to be a bit complex. So I just want to let you know beforehand, before we start with the first one that we need to see today. Another thing, they just gave me your schedule, your summary of things to know before the end of the level, and it's a bit tight. It's very, very tight, which means we have a lot of subjects, a lot of complicated subjects to get through in not a lot of, sorry. Sometimes, like we say in Spanish, se me lengua la traba. I apologize beforehand about that, but I'm going to keep going, just normal. So we don't have a lot of time for these subjects, but I'm always available if you have any questions. You can give me a message through the main chat on the group. You can tell me at the beginning of the class. I usually leave around 5 minutes, maybe more if not many people are online, to get started with the subject. So you can ask me in those 5 minutes, hey, I didn't understand this. I can't get why this is this way. How do I make it make sense? Anything, any doubt you get, you can ask me. There's no issue there. I'm always open for questions. So if you, like I said, if I'm in the middle of a subject and you don't get something, I have no issue if you unmute your mic and let me know. I need you to unmute your mic because I usually don't look at chat. I'm focused on the presentation. I'm trying to tell you, I'm asking you a lot of questions. So I'm not going to be always looking at chat. So if you really have a question, please unmute your mic and ask. I really have no issues there. So having said that, does anyone want to know anything else? Anyone has any questions about how we're going to move forward with this class?
No, teacher.
Nope. Awesome. So that's me. I'm Alex Pastrana, and I'll be with you for the next 6 months. So this is the final stretch. This is the last thing we need to do before you can fully get and fully speak English. So that's what we're going to be focusing the most on. I don't know if you were told, but this final rating is going to be 70% speaking. So that's what I'm going to focus on this level. So having said that, and seeing that there isn't any other question, I think we can officially begin. So I'm going to present the first subject. I'm going to share my screen for the first official subject of the level. Give me just 1 second. There we go. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, have you seen anything about relative clauses? Maybe in passing, a bit here, a bit there? Have you heard about relative clauses?
Yes, but I don't remember.
Awesome. So you haven't seen them with your previous teacher
Yes.
or in the previous level? Oh, you did see them. On the previous level? Did you see them?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Amazing. That takes a weight off my shoulders. So this is basically going to be a review about the relative clauses. So let's get started. What are relative clauses? Small little review. Aurelio, could you help me reading what they are?
What are they? A relative clause is one kind of depend clause. It had a subject and verb, but can't stand alone as a sentence. It gives more information about a noun. A relative clause always begins with a relative pronoun, which substitute for a noun phrase, or a pronoun when sentences are combined.
Combined. But excellent, excellent work. Thank you, Aurelio. So, what are relative clauses? They're going to be, for example, something that can't exist without the main clause or the main sentence. They are always attached to the main sentence. Siempre van a estar atadas a la oración principal. No existen sin ella. Now, those are the relative clauses. They mostly give us additional information. They actually, you can find them as, if I'm not mistaken, relative adjective clauses. No, adjective clauses, if I'm not mistaken. They're the same thing. Relative clauses and adjective clauses, exact same thing. They are going to add additional information to the viewer, to the listener, to the spectator about something. Nos van a dar un poquito de información extra. Puede que sea necesaria o puede que no. But first things first, because there are two general, there's a general division between relative clauses. We're going to see them a bit ahead, a bit further on. So, knowing what is a relative clause, we need to know what are the relative pronouns, no? Because a relative clause always begins with a relative pronoun. Siempre va a comenzar con un pronombre relativo. So just keep that in mind. So, what are the relative pronouns? In this little image, you can see what are the most common relative pronouns. So, you're probably going to have a bit more issue with these three. The usage is slightly different and the meaning is going to be slightly different. So, Aranza, could you help me with the first one?
Yes. Who refers to people, subject. He who overcomes his anger subdues his greatest enemy.
Very, very good. So, who we almost always are going to use it with people. What's the caveat here? What's the little exception? We can also use it with pets. Not animals, but pets, mascotas. Why? Because it gives them a bit of a more personal touch. I'm talking strictly about informal English. Estoy hablando del inglés informal. Who you can use them with people and you can use them specifically with pets, right? So, does any one of you have any pets?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So, Suzanne, what kind of pet do you have?
I have 5 dogs.
5 dogs. That's actually amazing for the relative clauses. So, could you give me about, do you have a favorite dog?
Yes.
Could you give me a bit more information about him?
I don't know. He have a black hair and he's cute and he's a smile and full and some I don't know, clever.
Amazing. Thank you, Sam. So we can use this as a perfect example. So um, let's say you're talking. My dog, is he well behaved or bad behaved?
I'm sorry, what?
Does he behave in a good way or in a bad way?
In a good way.
Very, very good. So we can say, for example, waits for me at the door, no? When I go to work. When I go to work. So if you know you have 5 different dogs, this sentence does not tell me anything. If we know we have 5 dogs, my dog waits for me at the door. It's telling us absolutely nothing because we don't know which dog, right? That's when we can add a relative clause. We're going to see it further on. Right now, I'm using it as an example for who with pets. Because who is mostly used with people, we can also use it with pets. It gives them a more personal feel. So, how would we put a relative clause here? We use a comma. Let's use a non-descriptive one. My dog, who has black hair, Natalie, who has black hair and is cute, waits for
Yeah.
me at the door when I go to work. Right now, we're specifying which dog, right? Ahorita estamos especificando cuál perro. That's what relative clauses do. They specify which one. They tell us specifically what of something we're talking about. So, in this instance, we use who because we're talking about a pet, about an animal that's close to us. But we give them personalities, or they come with personalities that sometimes they let out. So, mostly in American English, in Canadian English, in British English, in Australian English, we use with pets, mostly who. Animals are going to be completely different. Who with pets. Just remember that. We use who when we're talking about an animal that's close to us. An animal we carry on our hearts, right? So, thank you, Suzanne, for this lovely example. And let's move on to the next one. Emily, could you help me with the next one?
Yes. Whom refers to people, objects of the verb. She's the woman whom I met in Greece.
Very, very good. So this one is going to be a bit more tricky to understand. Do you remember, you probably saw it on level A2 around 8 months ago. Do you guys, everyone remember passive voice?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So do you remember what the passive voice has to have? What does it have? For example, let's have a question let's have a sentence with an active voice. For example, I don't know. I'm sorry, this is not the same dog, Suzanne. Just another dog. My dog bites me when I come home. Now let's change it a bit so it can be a bit more relatable. Bites, chases, let's say. So it isn't as transgressive or aggressive. Chases the ball when he's playing. So this is an active sentence, right? An active voice sentence. We have the subject, we have the action, and we have the object. This object is going to be very, very important for passive voices. I'm using it because you already saw passive voice. So when we have this object, how would you put this sentence in passive voice? Can anyone help me? Just a simple sentence. Let's say just this. How would we translate this into a passive voice? Anyone remembers?
I think it's like the ball
Very, very good.
is,
Excellent.
is chased by the dog.
Perfect. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you, thank you. We put the object that was here as the subject in this sentence. This one is in passive voice, this one is in active voice. So why are we seeing active and passive voice in this subject? Because it's it's the easiest way for me to tell you about the object. When we have a person being the object, for example, my dog chases John. This little passive voice sentence would change. John is chased by the dog. This is the object. So if we want to use a relative clause with him, we're going to use whom only when a subject or a person, when someone is the object of the sentence. That's when we use whom. Only in those cases. For example, right here, let's add to this one, whom, I don't know, who is tall, dark, and skinny, let's say. That's when we use a relative clause. And that's how we use this particular relative pronoun. Whom, we only use it when this Object is a person. When we're talking about someone, we use whom. So, up to now, for the moment, are there any questions about who or whom? We're going to use them in a later exercise. Actually, it might be tomorrow. But up to now, up to this point, are there any questions with who or whom?
No.
No, awesome, awesome. So let's move on to whose. Last one was Emily. So Suzanne, could you help me with whose?
Sorry, Mr. What?
Oh, could you help me reading whose?
Ah, yes. Refers to possessions. Whose keys are on the kitchen counter?
Very, very good. Thank you, Suzanne. This one is a bit easier. We use whose only for possessions, only when we're talking about something that someone owns. Let's move this one. Let's take it apart. So, let's say, I don't know these keys. Sorry. I don't know these keys. Let's say who owns these keys? I don't, oh, sorry. Error de dedo. I don't know these keys. Who owns these keys? Right now, we're talking about something physical. We're talking about as a noun, un sustantivo. So we can use a possessive what? What can we use? What are we using in this sentence? What is this? Do you remember?
Sus.
Sorry.
Sus keys.
Very, very good. As in Spanish, it would be sus. But does anyone remember what the term for this type of
It's
word
a
is?
possessive pronoun.
Yes? Very, very good. Excellent. Anytime we use a possessive pronoun, we can use an adjective, but that's later on. We use a whose, right? That's the only thing you need to keep in mind. Whenever we're saying someone's property, cada vez que estamos hablando de la propiedad de alguien, we're going to use whose in a relative clause. When we add a bit of context, when we add information to the sentence, right? So that means possession. This one means object being people, and this one can be used normally for people, and it can be used for pets. These three are going to be the most commonly mistaken ones, particularly on your TOEFL exam, if you decide to use to do it or not. So if you decide to do the TOEFL, these three are going to be present constantly. Why? Because they trip a lot of early users of the English language. They tend to confuse a lot of people. So we're going to do a lot of exercises with these three in particular. These three are going to be not complex, not very difficult, but they can be confusing. That's why we're going to do a lot of exercises in this following week using these three. So let's go to the last one on this image. Aurelio, could you help me with which? Not to be confused. Sorry. Not to be confused with which.
Which refer to animal objects. Does it not good languages? Which all understand not.
Very good. Thank you, Aurelio. So, which we're going to use it mostly for animals and objects. Which can be translated to Spanish as el que. No? What's one example of this? Let's say, let's use the keys again, just to have it on mind. The keys. Come on. Sorry. Which open the front door are missing, let's say. We're going to use which to say el que, las que, no? We are going to use them with animals, we can use them with objects. What's the example here? What's the translation here in Spanish?
Las llaves, las que abren la puerta, están perdidas.
Very good. En este caso sería las llaves, las cuales abren la puerta, las que abren la puerta, están perdidas, are missing. Which we're going to use it mostly with objects and in informal English with animals. We mostly use that. With animals, we can also use that with objects, but we'll see it a bit further on. So, up to now, hasta el momento, are there anything you aren't fully getting? Is everyone doing good with this particular presentation? Do you know when we use who, when we use whom, whose, and which?
Yes.
Awesome. So, it's already 7:58. So 2 minutes to go. We're going to cut this class up to here and continue tomorrow with this exact same topic. This topic is going to be divided into 2 halves. Basically, the first half is the one we're revising right now. It's the relative pronouns. When we use them, how we use them, and basically what's the common form associated with them. For example, we use who with people and pets because they are a bit more personalized. So we use who with people and pets. We use which was whom with also people when they're the object of the sentence or of the relative clause. We use whom, we use whose when we're talking about possession, and we use which to talk about animals and objects. Tomorrow we're going to see another list of similar relative pronouns that you can use in your relative clauses. And after that, that's when we end, in a manner of speech, this first half. The second half is going to be focused on the relative clauses themselves, how we use them, when we use them, what do they mean, and what do they add. So, up to now, are there any questions? Sorry. Are there any questions in general about the relative clauses that you might have lingering in from your previous level? Or from this presentation?
No, teacher.
Awesome. Then I think we can leave this class up to here. Take care, and it was really nice meeting you. I hope we can keep this energy going the entire level. So, good night. Take care, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, teacher.
Bye, mister.
Bye.